Hello and welcome to Kindred, sister. Thank you for joining me last minute, so to speak, here. Thank you so much for our special episode today. We are wedging into our season.
Right. Yeah.
So, like I said, we are going to just jump right in. And our subject today is something that keeps coming up for me and many other people who have, I'm hearing, having similar questions just through the podcast and through news and all this different things. And that is in context to the federal government sort of seemingly cutting and gutting so many federal programs and funding in context to conservation and, from protection to wildlife to clean air, clean water acts, etc. So this has ignited many questions about the effects that the federal government has on all of this, not only nationally, but on a state and local level. And then, it makes me think, how can we take action and support what local and state governments are doing, as well as nonprofit organizations? It kind of hit me about a month ago that I don't know necessarily a lot about federal to state in
Yeah.
context to all the, like the
Yeah.
Kindred podcast, like stuff
hmm
we cover. So I
Right.
just thought I really wanted to talk to someone who could kind of break down and answer the question, like, how does what the federal government do affect state and local government?
Right. And
Um,
I think it's so good to go to the sources so that we don't get ourselves into this stressing about things that don't really need to be stressed about because we don't know. I think it's really helpful. I mean, just like personally, as far as your own emotional well-being and your own nervous system goes, there's a
yeah,
lot of stuff like people like, well, did you hear they're doing this? Did you hear they're doing that? And
right.
it's sometimes it's not quite what we think it is, and that's actually important. And so I really appreciate the straight talk that we got to get to. So yeah.
Yeah, no, for sure. And I think too, I agree with you. It is really important to sort of have someone break it down. So we have asked Patrick McDonnell, who is the CEO and president of the nonprofit PennFuture, to join us today to walk us through all of this and what are the effects that the federal government is having on specifically Pennsylvania. This is our home
Yeah.
state.
Right.
And it was super, super helpful. And just exactly what you're saying, like, let's just get to what's actually happening and why and what we can do. So, a bit on Patrick McDonnell. I grabbed this right from Penn Future's website, pennfuture.org. So, quote, Patrick brings over 20 years of experience on climate, clean energy, and environmental issues to his role as president and CEO of PennFuture. Prior to joining PennFuture, he spent 6 years as secretary of the Pennsylvania Department of Environmental Protection, leading key initiatives like passage of the state's first carbon trading regulation, acceleration of the Commonwealth's cleanup of waterways, and a new focus on environmental justice issues. He also served as president of the Environmental Council of the States, the voice of state environmental agency nationally. Prior to being named secretary, Patrick served in roles at the DEP, or Department of Environmental Protection, and Public Utility Commission, heading up the state's energy office, managing the agency's budget and human resources, and overseeing the development of regulations and guidance documents. End quote. So, take a
Oh,
breath.
yeah, exactly. He does a few
Um,
things.
he's only done a few things. He has been in all of this for many, many years. And we also talked about how we residents can get involved and what is the most effective way to take action in support of wildlife and conservation of clean air, clean water, and frankly, just a climate that is very much in flux right now. He also much appreciated. He gave us three pretty easy steps to get involved in how
hmm
we can make an impact on environmental issues that turns out we all really care about. I thought that was really a comprehensive part of the conversation that I
Yeah,
very much appreciated.
me too.
And I love that we kind of got to these moments. It's not, it's not about climate, it's about community.
Yeah.
And that was great. I
Yeah.
loved that. I mean, of course, it's about climate, but you get the point. And then at the end, he gives lots of recommendations of where to visit in Pennsylvania. So that was really fun.
That was.
Yeah, it was great.
Yeah. Who knew that we had a Grand Canyon?
I know I am definitely, that's on my list this
Sorry,
summer to go check it out.
that was a little, I guess I should have given that away maybe, but
Oh,
yeah.
Jenny, look at you. Spoiler alert.
Feel free to delete that.
No way. So thanks so much to Patrick for walking us through all of this.
Yeah.
Please also check out PennFuture's website, like I said, pennfuture.org, where you can also join as a member and stay up to date on everything that's going on in Pennsylvania and other states surrounding us as well. We don't have a takeaway with this episode. It's all in the conversation. So we will leave you here when we leave you. And as usual, all the links are in our show notes and on our website, kindredpodcast.co, where you can also join us as a member through becoming a subscriber and a member of our K Plus community. Your support literally means all of Pennsylvania, that size. It's a big state. As big as Pennsylvania is, that's how much your support means to us. And let us know when you become a member what means most to you. Email us via our website or directly at info@kindredpodcast.co and tell us what initiatives mean the most to you from the topics we have covered and what causes you want us to support. So thanks.
Definitely.
Yeah. So thanks so much for listening and sharing our podcast. And thanks again to Patrick McDonnell and PennFuture for being here today. We also have a few less tidbits, thanks to my sister, at the end of our conversation that you won't want to miss. So thanks for joining us and lots of love.
Take care, everyone.
Patrick, hello, and welcome to the Kindred podcast.
Hi, thanks for having me. Appreciate it.
Yeah, absolutely. Would you please introduce yourself and tell us what you do?
Sure. I'm Pat McDonnell. I'm the president and CEO of an environmental advocacy organization, PennFuture, which is a statewide advocacy organization here in the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania. Been doing this around 2.5 years. And then before that, I was 25 years in state government, mostly at the Department of Environmental Protection.
Okay.
And then the last 6 years of that, I was secretary of the agency.
Wow.
So now I'm outside of state government and trying to help push good things from the outside for
Yeah.
clean energy, clean air, clean water.
Absolutely. Well, yay, you. We love those three things. So that's amazing, especially right now.
Absolutely.
So if we could just kind of start off, I was wondering if you could just familiarize us and our listeners with sort of the history of PennFuture and how it was established and why, and just walk us through a little history of your nonprofit and how it all came to be.
Sure. We just celebrated our 25-year anniversary last year.
Ooh,
Oh, wow.
pop the
Yeah.
champagne. Wow. 25 years. Wow. Okay.
25 years. And honestly, even in my time in state government, I was working with PennFuture when I was in the state government role as we were, there was a push to get things done like Growing Greener, which was a big funding bill for clean water in the state, alternative energy portfolio standard, which is our version of a renewable portfolio standard. So wind
Okay.
and solar being bought by utilities. And then our energy efficiency standard. All of those were some real early wins from the organization. We do the work. I always like to say we do it in the Capitol, in courtrooms, and in communities.
Okay.
So we're meeting with legislators, meeting with Gov's office, meeting with agencies about regulations. We're in some cases suing, in some cases supporting, for example, municipalities who are trying to do zoning regulations to protect their waterways and getting challenged on that, and we're helping with that. And then we're out in communities helping, talking to people about what issues are important in their communities and how they can best engage with their legislature or municipalities.
Yeah, well, you're the perfect person to have here because we have questions digging into those three things, especially Well, all of them. But yeah, so we've asked you here to help us with this special episode because recently I've just increasingly been seeing a major shift in federal funding and legislation and programs critical to conservation across the US, which is impacting many conservation initiatives focusing on protected lands, natural resources, and clean and renewable energy. I would say science and conservation seem to be at risk right now. So, first off, I'll ask you, is it true that power is being sort of shifted from federal government space to state levels? And is the federal government, these abrupt changes in course, is that true? And if so, how might this affect organizations like PennFuture?
Sure. No, it's a great question. I think I'd separate it into two different tracks, which is one is like the day-to-day work of agencies and agencies like the U.S. Environmental Protection Agency. Most of the work that goes on in terms of permitting, inspections, et cetera, is actually happening at the state level.
Okay.
So DEP, Department of Environmental Protection here in Pennsylvania, is delegated the programs that run the Clean Air Program, the Clean Water Program, Hazardous Waste Program, Drinking Water Programs. And it's really, the job of EPA in many cases there is to make sure that the states are adequately running those programs. So
Okay.
as we see cuts at the federal level, you might see accountability issues, in terms of
Okay.
that relationship between the federal government and the states. But it's really the states that have the primary responsibility there.
Well, that's good
The
news.
Yeah, the other thing I'd say, on the other side, a lot of these programs get funded through EPA through, for example, a program called State and Tribal Assistance Grants. So
Oh,
that's money that goes to the states to support the clean air program, support the clean water programs that they
Gotcha.
run. So
okay.
if we see those kinds of funds endangered, that could have an impact. To be blunt, it's become less of a funding source for states over the last 25 years. It used to be
Oh,
well over
interesting.
half,
Okay.
and now it's usually closer to like 20%
Mm.
in
Okay.
terms of the funding that comes in.
Interesting. So in the last 25 years, so any cuts that we're kind of hearing and seeing about, and some of this stuff, with the USDA that we're seeing is affecting, a lot of local, statewide parks and things like that. But so you're saying that states then are kind of been on their own doing this for long enough. So if stuff has been getting cut and shifted, it's not maybe going to impact us so deeply.
So for the regulatory programs, like we have that staff, again,
Okay.
the federal money is not unimportant. So I don't want to like
Right.
Of course.
minimize any
Yeah,
of
you need
this.
all the
Right.
money. Yeah,
Right.
right.
Yeah.
Right.
The department is already underfunded
Okay. Of
in
course.
terms of
Yeah,
ability
yeah.
to carry out the work. So hits there will absolutely matter. You brought up something else, which is like, for example, USDA funding, and that's the Department of Ag, and the funding that they give directly to farmers, which doesn't even necessarily go through a state agency. That is for me of real concern in that we would do a lot of work with farmers to get them to implement best management practices
Yeah.
Okay.
under the understanding that they would get funded through USDA.
Okay.
And in many cases, what we're seeing now is projects have been implemented on the ground, and now the money isn't available to
Oh.
reimburse those farmers.
Uh-huh.
Okay.
And that really has two impacts, right? It has an immediate impact on that project and on that farm.
Right.
Uh, and it's important to get that fixed. But now that's the story, right? So when you try to convince the next farmer to do a thing, even if
It's
this money
harder.
gets,
Right.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
Right.
the trust issue is something that's going to
Yeah.
be a battle now
Interesting.
to get back.
Okay. And when you say best practices, can you just sort of dig into that a little bit?
Oh, sure. It's anything from, stream restoration, if you have a stream going through your property, fun topics like manure management. We have
Okay.
a lot of cows, chickens in the state. So having pads to collect all of that
Okay.
and give them the ability to manage their manure. Those kinds of things are critically important so
Mm-hmm.
that you're managing the stormwater.
Right.
Something as simple as keeping a cow out of a creek through stream
Yes.
bank fencing,
Mm-hmm.
Right.
is
Yeah.
a best management practice.
Yeah, and we talked to Stroud
Mm,
Water Center, and
they're
we
great.
talked to we talked that that's a big thing for them because there's a lot of farm and rural areas in Pennsylvania too. It's a big agricultural state. I feel like, is that true?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah,
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 it's a
okay,
huge industry in the state. And I mean, just to put into some context, as one example, in where I am in the Susquehanna River Basin, um, we have the most loading of nitrogen, phosphorus sediment going to
ah,
the Chesapeake Bay.
mm-hmm.
70% of what is going into the bay out of Pennsylvania is agricultural. So
Wow,
there's been a lot of work done to
yeah.
to really help the agricultural community, particularly in places like Lancaster, to help address.
So, what is Penn Future's response to some of these bigger changes? If because you were talking about capital court community, like as far as capital and court, does that come into like, are there things that are happening, the things that are affecting from the federal government? What do you work with them, or is this something that you're working specifically with the state?
We do. We're also the National Wildlife Federation affiliate.
Okay.
We're the Pennsylvania affiliate for them. So we work with them, and it's somewhat good news that there's still conversations at the federal level as one starting point around things like the
Right.
Recovering America's Wildlife Act.
Aha.
There's still interest in trying to get something done there, and in particular, when you're talking about water, when you're talking about conservation, I think
Mm-hmm.
you end up appealing to a lot of people on every side of the political spectrum.
Right.
Yes.
Climate and energy can be tougher
Right.
to have the
Right.
conversations around. Um,
Right.
but the other good thing in our state is even as we have, not the funding is its own thing, but as we have um, potential reinterpretations or not non-enforcement of Clean Water Act, Clean Air Act, we have a Clean Streams Law in the
Right.
state. We have a Air
Yes, this
Pollution
is a good
Control Act.
example of what I'm
Yeah,
talking about. Yes,
yeah.
exactly. Right. Because
So
yeah,
making sure we're upholding our own standards
right.
Right.
as a state is important.
Because if the federal government says, well, we don't talk about climate change and these kind of things, you can say, well, we do. And this is why. And this is what, right? This is kind of what I'm talking about.
Correct. Correct. I mean, we have a Climate Change Act in the state
Okay.
that requires, creation of an action plan, creation of a greenhouse gas inventory.
Right.
During my time at DEP, we passed a carbon pricing regulation that's currently being fought out in the courts right now.
Okay. Right. Sure. There's a lot of court
But
action happening with legislation changing, and it's going to trickle down to us,
yeah,
the state
but
level.
all this stuff is moving.
Yes. Right. 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 And I think this is good to hear. Like my sister right off the bat was like, okay, this is good news because really like, I'm kind of coming out of nowhere with this. We're like, we're hearing all this stuff. We got to talk to someone to see like, how is this affecting us on the state level? Is it? And then, you know, and then, but just to go back to is talking about, like you mentioned wildlife, like how, like the Clean Air Act, if the federal government so doesn't and Clean Water Act doesn't sort of quote unquote care about that, PA and then Penn Future is there to pick that up. So what's your involvement in that sort of thing?
Yeah, and to be clear, I mean, one, I do need to stress we're still early days of all of this, so we don't
Yeah.
know
Very
what all
early.
the
Yeah.
yeah
Mhm.
what all the
True,
impacts look
true.
like.
That's a good
And
reminder.
yeah, and also there's pieces that can get picked up, and then there's
Yeah.
some other things that are going to be harder. Again, funding being a biggie
Right,
immediately that
right.
we've seen it we've already seen some impacts around. So on our end, it's again looks like everything from continuing to push in the state for clean water funding. A
Okay.
few years ago, we established a Clean Streams Fund in the state that used federal recovery dollars at
Okay.
its inception. But last year, they added a $50 million a year line item to that fund. So going forward, it should be getting $50 million a year.
Okay.
And that's something that the again is a bipartisan issue,
Right.
that everybody wants to be
Right.
funding
Right.
practices at
Yeah.
farms, municipal practices, et cetera, to clean up water. So continuing to work in the legislature, making sure that we're holding to account as we see violations of the Clean Air Act, as we see permits that we don't think are rigorous enough. And we've had success over the years in challenging permits on air quality, for example, in southwestern PA, where they initially were getting a permit approval. We challenged it. Actually, EPA under the previous administration looked at it and said, "Yeah, this permit isn't good enough.
Okay.
Requires more monitoring, requires some additional control." And that was something, again, we were able to do through our legal processes.
Well, this is really good to hear because I really didn't know some of the sort of the infrastructure and sort of what is the connection, what's the link between the two, state and federal. And it's almost like I feel like I can take a breath and don't panic, right?
It's
But
yeah. It,
and
it is, I think. I like to say optimism doesn't mean you're naive, right?
Right.
Right.
Yeah.
So
Exactly. Right.
recognizing, I think one of the things that's helpful on the optimistic side of all of this is zooming out a bit.
hmm,
I frankly cut my teeth on like climate, clean energy
okay.
work. That was a lot of the work I did at the department.
Right.
And when I started, it was hard to get interest in
Well,
a
that's what I was thinking. I was thinking, what
yeah.
was it like 25 years ago? You
Yeah.
have fought some battles, I'm sure, along the way.
And fought some battles to get like a little, 8 megawatt, 16 megawatt wind farm in
Right.
southwestern PA.
Yeah.
Right.
And now we're at a point where the markets, the technology, all of these things are there and ready to pick up a lot of the work. The challenge we have, frankly, is policy and politics. Like that's
Yeah.
the last
Yes.
thing left.
Right.
Given to its own devices, the thing that would get built in our region is solar to power the grid, because it's the cheapest resource you can put on the grid today.
Interesting.
Yeah. So,
Okay.
that last piece, again, don't want to minimize it. It's
Right.
hard, and it's frankly why we exist.
Right.
But going after the policy and frankly turning this from what it currently is into something that's apolitical, that people see as something that not only helps climate,
I
but
love that.
supports the
Yeah.
supports the grid,
Yeah.
creates jobs, all
Better
of it,
for
right?
everybody. Yeah. Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Apolitical would be ideal. Yeah. Because then it wouldn't be so in flux. Yeah.
Correct.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I love that.
Well, it's interesting too, because now it's like we're talking about things that are affecting us, sitting here in our houses. I'm not part of this PennFuture. I mean, there's all these organizations, like, thank goodness for you guys, people like PennFuture. And I'm also curious how we, meaning me and the other people who are listening, take meaningful steps and action to ally, support, and partner with organizations like PennFuture. So if there's a lot of impact and a lot of power within the state, how can Pennsylvanians support, your conservation initiatives and all the rest? Like, what can I do? And where can I what are the issues? And then what actions, like, give us 3 steps, like 1 to 3 most important things that I can do maybe today or this month.
Absolutely. And definitely wouldn't be doing my job if I didn't say becoming a member of PennFuture, you get a lot of email updates as to what's going on in Harrisburg and across the state in terms of some of this work.
And so when you
But
say become a member, do you say get your newsletter? Do we become
yeah,
like, okay,
you can subscribe,
okay,
you can donate, however you want to do it. But
okay,
I think that frankly, I'll say, I'm speaking for PennFuture. There's a lot of great organizations across the state dealing with a lot of specific issues. If the thing you're concerned about is your own watershed, as an
right,
example, there's
right.
probably a watershed group that you can connect with and work with that does more than just the work in the stream
Yeah.
and is actually engaged with
Yes,
your municipality, right?
there sure is. And we'll put those links in our show notes. So absolutely. We know
Yeah.
them. Yeah.
And then so one is getting engaged there. The second I always say, and the second I always say is talk to your legislator. Let them know this stuff is important to you. When we were doing that carbon pricing regulation, we were talking with legislators, some of whom, we thought would be with us who were a little hesitant.
Yeah.
And one of the things we heard was they weren't hearing from their
Yeah.
constituents.
That's
right?
still surprises me how much everybody says that. If you send an email, it makes a huge difference. Like, because somebody told me some statistic, like if they get one email, they know that 100 people probably feel the same way or something like that. Like, it's not
That's
like
interesting.
nothing happens if you do that. Because I always think, what's that going to do if I do it? But it's that local government level really does matter. I've come to believe, where I didn't really get it before.
Yeah. So you're saying like find out who your representatives are locally and statewide, and then literally like call them
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
say,
Pick up the
"Hi,
phone.
I'm Kate, and this is my issue," and someone will talk to you. You'll get a real
Yes.
person.
Or sometimes a real person, sometimes you're leaving a message that,
Yeah.
hey,
Okay.
I'm calling to register my support. I will say, emails are good.
Okay.
Letters can be better. The calls are
Okay.
the best.
Letters can be better. Calls are the best.
Calls are the
Okay.
best.
Yeah, calls are the
Okay.
absolute best.
Interesting. Okay.
Every legislator is very aware of what their call list is.
Really? Okay.
Oh
That's
yeah.
good
Oh
to
yeah.
know.
Wait,
Okay.
okay. So
I would think that
that's
would be the
interesting.
least effective. That's so
Calling?
interesting.
Maybe because you're actually
it's
just taking that, you're being a super, super brave and like, I'm here. This is my real voice. This is interesting.
Yeah, and always tell them, and again, this isn't any particular bill or anything, but just
Right.
tell them, here's who I am, here's where I live, so they know that it is the right district and all of that, and then say, hey, I'm concerned about these issues, would like to know what you're doing. If there's a
Okay.
particular bill, regardless of what side of it you're on, whatever,
Yeah.
let them know, like, here's what I think of X, Y, or Z.
Okay.
You know, but yeah, contact your legislators for sure.
Okay. Okay.
Oh,
on
Because
these
I know,
issues.
Jen, I know what she means. Like, it's just sort of like, oh, call your rep and send this email and blah, blah, blah. And just,
Yeah.
I'm like, does the email? I'm like, but I'm happy to call. I'm happy to call and do those things because that really is, you're just sitting right here. Your phone's right here. You don't even have to type anything. You just pick up your phone and sit there. Like, it kind of is the easy way to do this too,
Yeah.
which is great. And so can PennFuture, so if let's say, so it's sort of like, okay, here's me. I'm like, I don't even know where to begin. But it's like, well, I like going for walks, or I like seeing nature. I like parks. I like the Brandywine River. It's almost like, so pick something that we have like something we enjoy and like. And then can we then say, go to PennFuture's website and look up initiatives and things that are happening, and then we can kind of get to know, well, what are the issues, because I'm trying to make this really like comprehensive and easy for us like dum-dums. I'm talking about myself, like, how do I actually do this? And then you can find what sort of initiatives and challenges are happening, and then you kind of, I think it's probably like you just learn and get to know, and then you can find your reps and be like, hey, I heard about this. I mean, that seems impactful.
Absolutely. And on our end, and again, we're one organization that does this. There's a lot of
Yeah.
others. We'll
Right.
send
Right.
out action alerts to our members and say,
That's
hey,
helpful too. Yeah.
this bill's being introduced.
Oh, I love
Let your
that.
legislator know, like, we want you
Yes,
to co-sponsor it, or we want you to vote in favor
I love that.
of a particular action.
Right.
The other thing, though, and I don't want to lose because I think it goes to the optimism side of this is that point about like the brandy wine as an example. The third thing I would always say is talk to other people about this stuff. Like we often get very afraid of talking about like climate change or something like that.
Right.
And what, I have found in over time is you don't walk in and say, hey, let's have a conversation about climate change. You have a conversation about the brandy wine.
Right.
Oh,
The
right.
thing,
You're zooming in because everyone cares about the brandy wine, but
Yeah.
you don't have to believe in climate change to care about the fields and the parks that you live around.
Yeah.
That's
And it can be,
that's really
it can
smart.
be that, it can be, we're both parents. It can be, religion. It can, there's any number of things, but looking for those things that
Connecting.
connect
Yeah.
Yes.
and really having a conversation
Really
and listening to
tangible.
what their perspective is, as opposed to, again, coming in. I think
Hot?
on the environmental
Yeah.
side, we're
Right.
really good at the facts,
Ready.
figures.
Yeah. Right. And like
Yes.
hammering away. Yeah. Right. No, you're right.
Yeah, because and like once a week, basically, my husband and I go up to our local pub and we talk to a lot of locals. We talk about this stuff with them, and they're like, "Oh, have you seen the beavers?" And then we start talking about beavers, and people are like, "I hate them," and I'm like, "I love them. Send them down my way." Like, but that's really true. Like, kind of bring it to, and I do say this. It's not that I believe in climate change and I care very much about it. What I care more about is actually like identifying issues, and let's like. Okay, we know that there are certain things that are happening. Let's address them. You don't even have to get that far down the road. As far as locally goes, and like to this sort of point, talk to your neighbors and your people in your community.
Absolutely. And I'd be remiss if I didn't point out that the beaver is kind of the unofficial mascot of our organization.
Oh, good.
Yeah.
Okay,
We have a lot of
That's so
people who
cute.
enjoy beaver dam cameras.
Yeah.
Oh,
How can
yeah.
you not? It's so
For
fascinating.
sure.
Yeah.
And do you see one in a real life? They're amazing
Big,
animals.
big.
They're eco engineers, aren't they? They're amazing.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
Yeah, we love
Absolutely.
them. And then on your website, I think it talks about like organizing or civic engagement teams. Talk a little bit
Sure.
about that, because that seems like really empowering kind of people could get into that.
Sure. And this goes to some of it will be those action alerts I talked about might be
Okay.
like the simplest thing. In other cases, we'll be at an event and tabling at an event and have some of our members there just talking to people, handing out information about what's going on in Harrisburg or within their community. We also will have members. We have a program where we'll bring our members into Harrisburg or into a district office of a legislator
Okay.
to talk about an issue. Because again, I can show up and talk to any legislator, but they're really going to listen to their own constituents. So
Right.
it's much more powerful to hear their story about why it's important.
Yeah.
Again, as opposed to me walking in with
All your facts and figures.
yeah,
Yeah.
all
right.
the
Right.
all the precipitation percentages and things like that.
It
So
takes a
interesting.
certain geek to appreciate those things, right? Yeah.
I'm
Nerds,
very geeky.
nerds, I'm here.
Yeah, we love them.
The highest compliment around, Nerd Central. So if I had to ask you, Patrick, the worst question, which I'm going to, it would be like, what's kind of your biggest takeaway with what's happening right now? I mean, is it get local? Is it, I mean, everything obviously we just said, but like, what's the biggest, what could you say? Like, okay, this is what we really need to be focusing most on right now.
I think it is, it kind of goes to some of the pieces I mentioned, but it is that get local, think about your state and what your state can do. One thing, again, I'd be remiss if I didn't mention is, in addition to all those great laws that we have in the state, we actually have a constitutional amendment that guarantees the right to clean air, pure water, and preservation of the natural, historic, aesthetic resources for all Pennsylvanians. So that is something that the courts have started interpreting broadly to put responsibilities on state agencies to actually lean in a bit
Okay.
and do more work. And we've been engaged in a lot of those legal challenges to make sure that is happening.
Okay.
So there's tools at the state level, there's tools at the local level. And then I think, I think for the moment we're in particular, that engagement, that talking to one another,
Okay.
is incredibly important. Understanding where people are coming from.
Agreed.
So you're not having just the which team are you on kind of conversations,
Right. For
and
sure.
that becomes the entirety of the interaction.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. And I'm thinking too, I don't know if this is true, but Pennsylvania, Delaware, and New Jersey, we're called the tri-state area. And I mean, you need to be talking to all of these. This isn't just Pennsylvania, because I'm right on the
Right.
border of Delaware, and then we're right on the border of Jersey. It's like there's a lot of intercommunication. I wonder, are we a little bit unique in that way? Like our water systems are kind of connecting us. I'm just sort of thinking about this. Like, are we unique to say, let's say, like Colorado to Kansas, right? Like I feel like they can operate so singly, and we kind of can't. Is that true? Or
I don't know as much about the Western states. I mean, some of them are quite large, et cetera. But I will
Right.
say, water and air doesn't respect any political boundary.
Right.
So
Right.
we have, on the air side, we're in a ozone transport region. So ozone moves through the states here, in the mid-Atlantic and Northeast, and there's actually different clean air requirements because we're in that ozone transport region.
Interesting. Okay.
On the water side, you're absolutely right about the tri-state area in terms of the Delaware. But then when you move to the Susquehanna River Basin,
Right.
it's New
Yeah.
York,
I was
Pennsylvania,
thinking that
Maryland,
too.
Virginia,
Right.
West Virginia,
Right.
DC.
Exactly.
Right.
Right.
We are
Delaware.
all very interconnected because of these.
Yeah, the
Yes.
Susquehanna
These are
goes forever.
huge.
Lots of
Yeah.
states. Yeah.
Right.
And
Good point.
and then you go further west and it's the Ohio River, and
That's
you're
right.
into
Yes.
Ohio and West
Yes.
Virginia and Kentucky, and
The
ultimately that
Mississippi
flows
River, very long
flows
too.
into the
Yeah.
Mississippi.
Arkansas. We
Yeah.
talked about that old girl. Yeah,
Yeah.
for sure. For sure. It
So
just
water connects across boundaries.
Yeah.
When I was at DEP, one of the things we worked on in addition to all that was just the Great Lakes, because in
yeah.
Pennsylvania
Right.
we have 50 miles of
Yeah.
lakefront property that gets us a seat with Michigan and all the others, Michigan, Illinois, et al.
amazing.
Yeah.
That is so. It's like we just need to be like the water, be connected. Because this again, it really is it's all about connection with the land, the everything, the waters, the air, and really though each other. And I think that's where it's sort of a beautiful analogy, thinking of where we are and so interconnected. I just love what you were saying though about just talking to people about what
Yeah.
matters to them. That's just really. That's like, okay, I can
It's
do
almost
that.
too
That's
simple
good.
for our brains sometimes. I think we think it
Yes.
has to be complicated. Yeah.
It is, but the amount of times across the Commonwealth I encountered conversations that it's not about climate, it's about flooding, it's about crop yields, it's about
Right.
Yes.
it's these
Flooding.
things
That's a big
that
thing.
are of concern to people. And
Yeah.
Right.
honestly,
Right.
one of the stories I always love to tell is I talked to a farmer who had put in a bunch of practices, and I just asked, I said, what are you most proud of? What do you get out of this? And in my brain, I'm going through nitrogen, phosphorus, sediment, crop yields, sequestering carbon, all this stuff. And he said, I'm fifth generation. That those guys over there are the sixth generation, and they're the first ones who've gotten the fish in this creek.
Wow.
Oh,
wow.
And
Yeah.
that was the thing that struck him.
Wow.
So it is like making it that, if you enjoy fishing, there's a conversation to be had. If you enjoy winter sports, there's a
That's
conversation to be had.
That's right. No,
Yeah.
that's right. If you care about fish, like you don't have to talk about, you really don't. You don't have to. This is bipartisan.
Well, it's such a good metaphor for life, like so many of these conversations are. It's just about, can we
Yes.
just talk to people and be real and care about what they care about and
Yep.
find the ways that we're actually more alike than we are different? Like that,
Absolutely.
that's going to go a long way.
Absolutely.
Yeah, it really is. Well, Patrick, thanks so much for walking through all this with us and just sort of guiding us towards ways we can be more aware and take more meaningful action in our beautiful state of Pennsylvania. And I think suggestions like that will help others who live in other states too. I just think
Yeah.
it just felt a little critical. Some of this seems a little time sensitive to me because so much is happening and legislation is, and the courts are super red hot right now. So, and I also like you're sort of just like, it's okay. Like, don't panic. There's a lot of things that are going on. And also empower me. Thanks for the empowerment of what I can take steps to do. That's really, really
Yeah.
helpful.
Yeah. I'll just say, I think it is important, as you're having feelings, one of the things I tell people too is like, the feelings aren't wrong. It's like,
We can have
but
feelings.
yeah, but, um, anger and fear, like as fuel for the body, like burn out pretty quick, but hope,
Yeah.
like that's going to keep you going. So like looking
Yeah.
to the thing on the horizon you want to get to, and
Yeah.
then starting the plan for how you
Right.
get there, not
Right.
just assuming it's going to happen
Right.
without you.
Yeah. Right. And I
Well,
think
I loved
that,
your quote. I loved you saying optimism is different than being naive too.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because I love
yeah,
optimism, but I don't want to have
good
my head
recall.
buried in the sand. Yeah.
Right.
Right.
And yeah.
Yes, and I love inspiration. Like I feel like that's what when you say hope, I think of inspiration type thing, and that doesn't. It really. It there's endless inspirations. Speaking of inspirations, one last question for you. I'm curious,
Sure.
what are some of your favorite like places to go in Pennsylvania, or parks, or hikes, or little unknown spots? I mean, I did hear at one point I saw a picture of the Pennsylvania Grand Canyon. I was like, What?
The Grand Canyon is awesome. Town of Wellsboro up there is great.
Okay.
It's just a fun area to be in. We just in the last year or so got a pop-up camper. So we were tent camping around the state. Now we have our
Fun.
pop-up that we can bring around. So we've
Sweet.
been up in Wellsboro.
Okay.
We have a really great little park near us, Wildwood Park, that the county runs here.
Okay.
The one, and it honestly, I hadn't thought of it this way, but it really connects it all together. One of the things in the state budget this year is actually what used to be Game Land, a Glenanoka
Oh,
park up in the
yeah.
Pocono area.
Uh-huh.
It's been shut down for a number of years because it frankly had just become unsafe. And Department of Conservation and Natural Resources actually has money that they've proposed for the budget this year to take over
Okay.
the park
Oh, wow.
and put it together in a way that's safe so people can go enjoy what frankly are for me some of the most beautiful waterfalls
Oh,
in the Commonwealth.
cool.
So
Okay.
there's a nice
Good
big
Rex. Good
waterfall at the top.
Rex. Okay.
Um, but yeah,
Mm-hmm.
I love Glenanoka Falls, love the Jim Thorpe area.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They're going through it right now with some wildfires, but
Yes. Okay. Good to know. Wow. Yeah. Well, those are good. Those are good Rex. And my other last question, do you have any other specific hobbies that you enjoy? And I have a reason I'm asking you this.
I'm aware. I'm aware. I do like going to see films, but one of the specific things that I enjoy talking with people about is I do comedy improv on the side.
Right. Okay. What is
Um,
that and why do you like it?
so the thing I always say first is it isn't what you think it is, which
Mm-hmm.
is
Yeah.
you get up there and make up a bunch of stuff and
Right.
like
Right.
that's
Right.
improv.
Mm-hmm.
The thing I think is important in particular in this kind of conversation is you're up there on a team and you get a word from the audience, and we create a show over the course of a half hour based on that one word. But the way you do it is somebody's inspired to say
Mm-hmm.
something, to initiate something by that. And your job is to step out and listen and pay attention and respond honestly to what you're being given. And then you respond. And their job is to listen, respond honestly. And you
Nice.
go back and forth that way.
Mm-hmm.
And at the end of 3 minutes, you've created something that you didn't think was possible or didn't think
Right.
was where you would end up going.
Mm-hmm.
And that is like the openness we need in these moments, right? You need to be open to the conversations. You need to really hear what's being said,
Yeah.
even if it's not the words, if it's the body language, if it's
Right.
the,
Mm-hmm.
what's behind it,
Yeah.
all of
Right.
those kinds of things. To really be able to connect with people and
Mm.
solve some of what are the most critical issues facing our communities, our state, our nation, the world.
Yeah. I love that. And you and I kind of talked a lot about it when we last spoke, but it really is like skill. It's a practice learned skill, and I think that it is so critical. We hear this time and time again with people in conservation, especially like in wolf conservation, where we really, really, really need to learn how. And I just love the improv. Like what you were talking about was just really did strike me. It's like really listen. So first of all, read the room. Take in like what's the vibe, and then
take a beat and just and then see what's required, right? Or what's what's appropriate.
Right. So someone throws out a word or let's say initiative or like, okay, wolf, okay, whatever, or something kind of issue or problem, and then like just listening, and then that's the act of listening, and you have to build something that's going to make sense and meaningful for your audience. You have to do that now. You have to curate this conversation, and that takes a lot of specific type of skill. And I think that must come in huge help for you with PennFuture and just dealing with other organizations who have their own agendas and, state to state, state to federal. So I just really loved that. And I can tell that that makes a difference for you. And I think it's just something to remind us all that let's take a word and listen to each other and what we think about it. I just thought it was really cool.
And comedy is always a great healer, isn't it? Yeah.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Girl, it saves me every day. Woo.
I joke, I get the same thing out of improv that I get out of meditation.
Yeah.
And I think it's because when you get on that stage, you can't have any agenda. You can't be thinking about, I need to get to this thing in the next 2 minutes.
Because it wouldn't work at all, would it? You'd fall on your face.
No.
Yeah.
No.
Oh my gosh, that's so true. It wouldn't work at all. You can't have an agenda. This is brilliant. We're solving all the
You have to be very present for that. Yeah.
Yes. So like coming into a meeting, a discussion with someone with that framework, with that mindset.
Yes.
You might have to get to an endpoint in the hour you have, but
who knows how you're going to get there, right?
Yeah, but maybe if you don't, you've created a space that's like, well, I would like to come back and continue this conversation. I think that's also
good
great.
point.
So can you give us some links to where we can find out more about PennFuture? Like, what's your website? Are you guys active on social media? All of that good stuff?
We're very active on socials. So the website is pennfuture.org.
Easy. Thank you.
And then we're on Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn,
under PennFuture. Okay, all the same stuff.
All, YouTube, etc. Kind of all the things.
Okay.
And if you go to any of the video channels, you'll get to see our new puppet Oslo as he helps share some information.
Nice. I love that you got Oslo in here. I was wondering if he was going to this is brilliant. I'm not going to say any more about that, people. You have to go find Oslo for yourself. So, Patrick, thank you so much. This was something that I was feeling a bit urgent about. I feel more empowered and I feel calmer from the conversation. So thank you so much for walking us through this and just giving us some really comprehensive, like easy steps to do to make some change. I really appreciate. Thanks so much for joining us today.
My pleasure. We're all in it together. So
yes, indeed.
Woo-hoo, same team. All right. Take care. Thanks so much.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Kindred is hosted by me and my sister Jen, produced by Kat Gaddy and myself, sound production and editing by Dan Cooper, original music by Ellie Grace, and our Kindred artwork was created by Lindsay Coffin. Please follow, rate, and review wherever you listen to podcasts, and feel free to contact us through our website at kindredpodcast.co, where you can also find details about Kindred Plus, our subscription service, as well as links to our social media accounts and show notes.